Hello everyone. In this video I'll be talking with you about basic Java constructs, the type of constructs that you can basically look forward to in the Java programming language. Lots of these constructs are just very general, so they actually apply to other languages as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at that now. Okay everyone, in this video I am going to be going over some basic for loop practice, and it's just a very basic introduction to it. And the first question is, well, what is a for loop? Well, a for loop in Java is a construct that what it does is it checks a condition and it says, well, for this condition true, I'm going to execute the statements that are inside of my construct, which consists of curly braces. So let's go ahead and start to take a look at that construct. So we're going to type for, have some parentheses there, curly brackets or curly braces, whatever you want to call them, brackets or braces, but so put your curly brackets there, and then we're going to start off with int. Okay, integer what? Integer I equal, say, 1. And then the next thing we're going to have is we are going to have I less than or equal to, say, something like 5, and then I plus plus. Now, what in the world does all of that mean? Well, this is what it means. Integer I, we're going to make up an integer here. That integer is local to this for loop. Well, what does that mean? Well, it means that it can only be seen by this for loop. If we were to make reference and say something about the integer I itself outside of this for loop, no other structure wouldn't know what are you talking about, because it only pertains to this loop here. So integer I, you can name it, you know, something else, A, B, C, or whatever, but it's just customary to use I. And so you have integer I equals 1. So you've already assigned and declared the variable I as an integer, the value 1. Now next is the check. Okay, for the loop to occur again, you need it's going to go through a check. That checkpoint is to check whether or not I is less than or equal to 5. And so if it is less than or equal to 5, the loop will continue. Now, when it increments up to 6, then the loop will terminate. Okay. So how does I increment? Well, it's right here, I plus plus. I plus plus is just shorthand for increment by an increment of 1. So each time the loop is executed, I will increment by 1. Now, this is a perfectly compilable code, even though it doesn't do anything. Let's compile it and see. The build is successful. That's what you want to look for, and then you start putting things into it. So let's say that we wanted to use system.out.println, and we're going to use that in order to be able to see what our output is and what our current state of I is. So we're going to put you could put current I value as a description, and then concatenate into that I. Okay, so now when we run the code, we'll see how many times that for loop iterates and updates and upgrades I. So you can see here that you get all these values here. The current I value is 1. So again, it initialized at 1, right? So what does that mean? Well, it initialized at 1, and then it executed this statement, and then it went all the way up to 5. When it went to 5, this is what happened. It printed out 5 at the end of that statement, and then when it came back for another round again, it incremented it up to 6, and it checked it and it said, well, are you less than or equal to 5? And the answer was no, so then the loop terminated. So for loops are particularly useful whenever you want to iterate something for a set amount of times, and you want to terminate it if it is greater than that set amount of times that you want to keep iterating it for. So let's say if we said less than 5, well then where's it going to terminate? It has to be 4, right? So it went through 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then when it got to 5, 5 is not less than 5. 5 is equal to 5, so then that's where it terminated. Now let's say if we started at 0, what will we have? Well, then we have this situation. We entered the loop. It was initialized there. Because it was initialized, we didn't really even have to perform any checks. We just initialized it at 0. Well, of course, 0 is less than or equal to 5. So what did it do? It output the current state of it. When it comes back around is when it updates by I++ the current value of I itself. So these are just basic ins and outs of the for loop. Again, it's for any time that you want to iterate a process for a finite set number amount of times. And so that is all that I'll cover in this video itself on for loops in Java. And perhaps I'll do some follow-up videos that actually show more functionality and more utility usage of the for loop itself. Thank you for watching this video on basic Java constructs. Hopefully it was helpful for you. Have a nice day.